So I've been able to daily drive the S25 Ultra for some time now, and there are a lot of good things I like about it, but there are plenty of bad ones that I'm just don't get why it hasn't been fixed or why it's even happening now with the new generation. Let's go over my list and let's see why this phone is actually in danger of not being the best phone of the year this time. As per usual, I do like to start with the positive things first, so let's start with the first one being that it's lighter in weight. It's a big phone and a pretty heavy phone. It's to be expected really because it has a lot of things in it, including an extra camera sensor. So the weight is expected. So anytime you can save weight is going to be beneficial for the user. I think it was 14 grams is going to help a lot in terms of being able to use it for a longer period, like in a single session. And my main issue is usually the pinky that I have in the bottom that gets to tire it out before everything else, especially now since it has the second thing, the rounded corners. This makes the phone just so much more comfortable to use. I've heard people say that the edges are still sharp or whatever. The edges are not sharp. I don't know why they say that. The S24 Ultra's edges were sharp in the bottom because they were completely flat and they ended in a point. That is uncomfortable. These rounded corners is a million times more comfortable. There's nothing sharp that's protruding, and it's just more comfortable in the hand as it sits in your palm. And that's a big one again for user comfort, which it's very important when you're paying so much for a phone. You want it to be comfortable as well. And I think that's where the previous Ultras failed miserably. The next one is the camera features, and honestly at this point Samsung has the best camera app and camera features available in Android. And I will say it's better than iPhones as well. Even if the quality of the video might not be, but that's about it for iPhone in my opinion. The camera app for the S25 Ultra is the best. It has awesome features. It got logged now, so not even Apple has that over it. It has HDR, which it had before, but actually it's a nicer, easier toggle now. The layout is so much more comfortable. You have zebras, which I haven't seen any other phone with that yet. I mean, I have to look up Sony because they might actually have it since they actually make these prosumer cameras anyway. They have false color, which is another way of checking your light measurements. It's just that it's looking more professional every single time, and I know not everyone's gonna use that, but for the people that do want it, I think it's gonna be a big one. And the last thing that I have for my positives on the S25 Ultra that I've noticed so far is just One UI 7 is a masterpiece, honestly. I haven't noticed any bugs with it, so that's always good. I mean, it took a while to come out, so I would hope that they would fix all the bugs before releasing it. And it has some nice features, a nice new layout for the apps. It has swiping down for your notifications all in one place, easy to see, and then you can have your quick access panel, as a swipe to the left additional to that, or you swipe from the top and you bring down the quick access panel like right away without having to do the extra step. But it's so much neater now. It's more pleasant to use, to look at. It's just so much better. And they added so many small little features that just let you customize it more and have more fun with it. I mean, to me, at this point, it could be the best software out there. Obviously, it has to compete with Pixel, which is really good. And even now, OnePlus, I think, is in the talks right now. But One UI 7 is looking really strong. Now, before we get to the slightly longer dislike list, I would appreciate a like and subscribing if you're enjoying this video and want to see more content like this. But let's move on. So to start off, my negative list is something that I found out after I made my initial video and I found out what changed really. It's the front glass, because now it's less scratch resistant, even though it's supposed to be more drop resistant and crack resistant. So yeah, I guess you're getting a benefit there, but I don't know, man. It better be a lot better in terms of drop resistance than it used to be, because going back from a 7 hardness to a 6 hardness now on the S25 Ultra is a step back and made it kind of go back to the standard, the status quo. Obviously, it still has the anti-reflection screen, which is pretty much just as good as the S24 Ultra, just less of a orange tint to it, more neutral, so that's better too. It's just that I feel like I'd rather have the 7 hardness, because when you have it in your pocket, most things in your pocket are not going to be a 7 hardness or higher. So it'll be great to have that so I won't get those micro scratches as easily. My dislike number 2 is one that why is it still here? It's that 3x telephoto lens. Not that the 3x is here, just that it's the same terrible sensor that's been around and it's still on the S25 and S25 Plus. They need to replace that sensor already. It's literally the worst one they have. I think it was worse than the ultra wide that they replaced on this one, honestly. And I think it would have benefited a lot more to have a brand new, what was this one? To have a brand new 3x sensor, 50 megapixel, maybe a little bit larger. I mean, I feel like it had the space for it instead of a 50 megapixel ultra wide, which honestly covers the least amount of ground. Number 3 is something that I've noticed with the S25 Ultra that I haven't noticed with any other phone so far, and it could have just been a, bad day or a few days or a bad area, but I noticed they're going back to 4G quite a bit. And even the 5G, the reception was not as high as I would expect it. I live in a city that has really good 5G, and every single one of my phones gets 5G if they have it, obviously, because I do get some of the cheaper ones that might not have 5G. Again, it's not affecting me because I'm not downloading a movie or something that I need the 5G, and the 4G is plenty quick enough for 99.999% of my use anyway. But I paid $1,300 for this phone and I want it to work as I expect it to. Not, it's still fine, because it's 4G, whatever. No, it's too much money to not have the 5G working properly. Number 4 is the loss of functionality for the S Pen. I might have been a bit lenient on it in my initial review, and for the most part I think I'm right on being a bit lenient because it's not something that people are going to use too much. But I've heard some people talk about it and they're absolutely right about it. And it goes back to what I said on the previous one. It's a flagship $1,300 phone and you are removing features from it. No, it's too much money. I want all the features. Even if I use that thing only one time out of the year, I want that feature if it already had it. I don't want to go back. There are some pros obviously to the S Pen not having the battery for the Bluetooth functionality, but I don't think it outweighs the benefits of having the Bluetooth remote for a camera, at least for me. The 2 or 3% never made a difference. Last year the S24 Ultra did amazing on my full day test, and I never had a time where I was close to running out of battery with it. And I'm gonna expect the same thing from the S25 Ultra. In fact, I've been using it where it maxes out at 80% to save the battery. And even with that, I've been using it, for 6 hours of screen on time a day. And yeah, it gets a bit low, but I mean, still, I never felt like I'm not gonna make it. So, and thanks to Jerry Everything for showing us, it still has the wireless charger for the S Pen. So they didn't even take out all the features, just the battery and the Bluetooth functionality of the pen itself. And this is something that I can actually relate to because of my work. If you give a group of people something, they're fine with it. Even if they never use it, that's fine. If they never use it and you take it away, they will complain. And that's what's happening here, I think. People don't want things taken away. That's just how human nature is. Number 5 is something that I didn't expect because I tried 2 other phones that had the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And it's that the phone still gets warm just like the S24 Ultra does. So that's a bit disappointing, especially since it's supposed to have a bigger vapor chamber. And even with the other phones that don't technically have as big a vapor chamber, I never felt them get warm. I feel the S25 Ultra get warm pretty often. I mean, not, uncomfortably hot or anything, just stuff I didn't feel with the other phones that I tested. So that's a bit disappointing, but it's not a step back or anything, so I don't want to be too harsh on it. I just was expecting for it not to get warm. And the last one was just a bad call all around because there was no need for it, and it's the lens covers for the cameras in the back, the larger ones really. Thanks again to Jerry Rig Everything, we found out that it's actually glued on. It's not even screwed on or anything like that, just plain old glue. It's not gonna come off all that easily. I'm sure there could be an accident of some sort that puts something in here and pulls it off. I mean, that's just a bad day because it's probably something pretty sharp. But besides that, it's just, man, it's not the quality that I would expect from Samsung. To have something that can be pulled off just because it's glued on, obviously besides the glued on glass that every phone has, It's just not something that I would expect from the highest selling brand in the USA that is known for having good quality to make this type of move. They should just kept it how it was on the S24 Ultra and how it is on the two smaller lenses here, where, you know, it just doesn't grab, it's not gonna get pulled off or anything because it's just perfectly smooth. This is just doesn't make sense, man. Like, I'm sure it will never happen, but there's always a chance that something can get in here and rip it off, and then now you have to worry about dealing with that. So that's all I have. I understand that some of the negatives might feel a little bit nitpicky, but it's just a few things that I wouldn't expect from a phone at this price, and, you know, with the history of the S24 Ultra, or, you know, it's the Ultra lineup. You know, it's always been amazing, and just it has a couple things here that I just would never noticed before on the other Ultra line. I think the biggest takeaway here is that this actually has a chance of not being the best all-around phone this year because of a few small things that are gonna add up to, you know, enough to lose to a competitor, especially since all the other competitors are picking it up quite a bit. They're catching up to Samsung. They're probably as good as Samsung now, you know, in terms of, you know, everything all around. All it really has going for it right now, in my opinion, is the extra sensor, but I mean, that's not enough to win it every time. So I think Samsung got to step it up in a couple of places here for the S26. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the S25 Ultra, and what are some of the things you would like to change, or what are some of the things you actually like about the phone? If you're interested in buying the phone, I do have an affiliate link in the description. That would be appreciated, but never feel forced to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.